All right, I'll call stake committee hold a meeting for the stormwater bylaw for October 15th at 5 o'clock. So in attendance, Les Stevens.
Adam Furlong.
Matthew Benoit.
Margaret Bacon.
Mike Swicker.
Okay. And Dan Heaney's on vacation, so he's absent. And then Colin Hare is absent as well, and Carol Gugolinski's absent at this time. So gone through attendance. Second item on the business is just the bylaws in the other community, 2A. So I think we just got Uxbridge's bylaw. I know it was a discussion in our last meeting to take a look at Uxbridge's bylaw. I'll say that I haven't had a chance to go through theirs yet. But I think maybe you'll give the group an opportunity to do that for our next meeting. As well as Matt, I don't think you had a chance either because of grants.
Yeah.
So, and I think we were all set with the other communities that I think we dropped some of the communities, Weston, some of the other ones that just weren't,
We tried to get ones
rural
that
enough.
were,
I mean, similar to ours. All right. So I really, in the bylaw, Matt, I guess, the Article 12, you've done the revisions.
Yeah, this this is not a color copy, so I'm having trouble finding what I did.
Okay.
yeah.
I see things taken out, so I think it's a non, what would be the thing?
This doesn't have the track changes on it.
The track changes are missing.
Yeah, this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I didn't print this, so.
Okay. So,
I don't know what the word.
yeah, it's a little clean. So this is, again, we did a bunch of edits in our last meeting, cleaning up some sections and language. Well, just while we're on the bylaw, one of the things I don't think we covered, Matt, is if there's a discrepancy in the map, and we brought this up probably in our first meeting, let's say someone on southeast Maine who has no drainage, is not gonna tie into the Mumford and stuff like that. We probably wanna put something in the area here that would allow them to present before the planning board saying, do I need a permit? Do I not? My house is in the map, but there's no way drainage wise that he or she's affecting. So something will.
Is it more like an appeal? But it's not an appeal because it was never.
Correct. Yeah, it's not an appeal, but it's like a giving the planning board the ability to determine whether someone, there's a discrepancy with the map. You see where I'm going with this, Mike Zucker?
Yeah, satisfactory evidence of the disturbance of less than 1 acre is provided to the reviewing agent. The reviewing agent may determine if the project is ineligible for this permit.
Okay.
Then we put that in there.
Okay.
That makes
Section
sense.
4D.
Okay.
I was looking at that, section.
So it doesn't have to go all the way to the. board.
Yeah.
Right. It can be
Yeah,
done in the
okay.
same house.
Because it's less than the acre, that kind of.
Well, less than the acre, but maybe they're not in the map as well.
Yeah, well, even if they're not in the map.
Or, no, meaning that they're in the map,
Yeah.
but they're not in the drainage,
Right.
would be in the drainage area.
So you're referring to like a split lot?
No, I'm referring to someone that's on southeast Maine. Southeast Maine.
I mean, if I can't, either you're in the map or you're not. There's no such thing as a maybe.
Correct.
There's a line.
Correct. So you're in the map, right?
Okay.
Your property's in the map. But what the bylaw's intent was that how do you, being on southeast Maine, do you drain into Mumford?
But that's not what we're going by. The determination will be by the map that has to be approved. And that's why right now, as we know, there's the big dispute going on with what map's gonna be used.
Yep.
So until it was said and stated at meeting 1,
Yep.
the very first, I think within the first 30 minutes, until we know what map we're dealing with,
Yeah.
this whole thing is almost a mute deal. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
And that was the map that we were sent, right?
Yeah, that's the map.
That's the map.
That's the urbanized area map, but there's also the tile map, which shows the infrastructure
Correct.
much more specific.
Correct.
And that's what.
The discrepancies are coming in,
Right.
which has to get hammered out. And until it is,
Well, for our purposes right now, we can just assume
we're working off
We're off this.
With this one,
this one.
right? We're just gonna assume that
Yep.
that could
Right.
change.
According to our consultant and everybody that, there's a conflict between parties here, so, and this is what has to get hammered out. Not us parties, but,
So you're talking the stormwater, tile map
Versus the urbanized area map.
correct.
Okay. So I think once we get that, we'll
Once it's
be
determined,
able to put that in the bylaw, that which one we're referencing.
I'm gonna, and I'm just throwing this out there, I'm gonna guess that EPA is gonna say it's the urbanized area map, because that's the one that gets presented without permit.
Okay.
I'm gonna guess that.
the what, the tile map?
No, which would be the one that Matt
Far-
has in front of
no,
him.
yeah, far
Yeah,
left.
I'm sorry, far left. I'm gonna get, like I said, that's, because that's what always goes with our permit every time we submit it.
Yeah. Right.
That's in our book, that's in our, you know,
I think,
type thing.
I think that's the map where you have to work off of.
No, and not if you go by our consultant.
Yeah, our consultant recently said,
There's a big dispute going on here, a very big dispute.
Yeah.
Back to, wait,
Yep.
who's looking that up? So,
Yep.
so back to this administration, number D.
Yep.
The reviewing agent may determine that the project is ineligible for this permit, or should it be exempt from this permit? Or do we wanna use nobody wants to be eligible for this permit.
Correct.
So if you, I think, what you, my understanding is you come in with a map or whatever, or A&R or whatever you're gonna be doing, and it's laid out, it's less than an acre, you can just say you're not.
You're exempt. I
You're
don't know if eligible, it just kinda,
Yeah,
Oh, I
I
know
don't think
what
that's the
you're
right
saying,
word.
right,
Yeah,
that's
you
all,
wanna
just
change-
minor stuff.
correct,
Is exempt from the
that's it.
Yeah,
permitting
no, that's a good call
requirements.
out.
yes.
Good call out. Definitely. All right.
Well, the clearer that it is, because this is gonna go through planning board, the clearer it is for
Yeah.
everybody, you know, like, right? This would all, they would be on the planning board, so you want it clear for anyone who's on the
Yeah.
planning board, not just.
Well, yeah,
You
so
know,
this
people
would be a
involved.
deal where they wouldn't have to come in front of us.
Correct,
It's
correct.
Determined beforehand.
Determined,
You're not
exactly.
filing that
So
with
it's-
nothing.
Yeah.
You're-
If it's me or if it's you, we all understand it's,
You're
this,
exempt.
yeah.
So we need to make it so everybody can understand.
Correct.
Right.
Yep. And if they're, if they have the ability to turn on an overlay button in the GIS, right?
Yeah,
And then, that one's not able to, but maybe, again,
have to figure it out, yeah,
figure it out. That makes it easy to say, oh, hey, you're in that,
where you are.
you're in the red zone,
No, I get it.
that'd be workable. All right. Margaret, any other good catches?
Well, another thing that I'm looking for the one I had marked up, and I have to keep rereading this over and over again when it gives the definition of new development and redevelopment.
So I
Page
thought,
2.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
page two, I
Is
mean,
that what you're looking for?
yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking for.
So
Thank you.
this is the letter that really changes everything.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
This was in this.
my response to Nick,
yep.
or his response to me, just earlier, last week. I don't know who he was talking to, someone at EPA, indicated the regulated urbanized area, this map, is the default area. However, within that area, EPA's jurisdiction is technically limited to waters of the US, and anything that reaches them via the town drainage system. Essentially, anything that falls onto roadway and enters catch basins, pipes, and outfalls, which then goes to the waters of the US. So technically, communities can distill the entire regulated area down to the catchment level.
Touch basin, okay.
That
Which is
Which is that,
tile map.
which is
tile
the,
map.
If they
correct.
choose. In Douglas's case, to reduce the regulated area by roughly 75%.
So we'd go from like that map to this one.
So there's pluses.
You're going from the one with
Yeah.
all the red to this.
Yes.
Correct.
So there's pluses
You're-
and minuses to both approaches. For example, the catchment level regulates less area, but will likely be more difficult to enforce than something covering a region of town like the urbanized area, or even the entire town, but we won't do the entire town.
so if you're doing an acre right outside this little red zone, then you may not trigger the permit. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Yep.
So I can see where then using that where.
That opens up a lot, yeah.
Right.
So maybe,
And the only reason I'm bringing this up, as we're all aware, this has been shut down many times. And the biggest reason was because of the layout and how much area. We were tasked with a job of making it the minimum requirement to make this law acceptable to the community
yep,
and to appease any regulations.
yep. Yeah, I think that, and that was the census of this committee.
Of this committee.
And when we got together was, yep. So I think we'll wait until we have the other board members here to let them weigh in on the,
Oh, yeah,
what
yeah.
map we go forward with.
How
But-
does that apply to these areas?
That's just drainage.
That's outside the normal area anyway.
Infrastructure.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's outside the area. I
We're
would say.
talking the red area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Right.
okay.
Catchment area.
But I did look up the definition of waters of the United States,
Yep.
and it's 141 pages long, the
Oh, yeah.
definition,
Did you get us a
so-
summary?
That's all right, we don't want to go
The cliff
there.
notes? Okay. So, yeah, why don't we, wait until we have the full board here, because I know we got a couple members, and then we can have that discussion about the map, but I think that might be the way going forward if we're using the tile map.
So how's the or the EPA gonna, when, we have to submit our final plan to them? And they're gonna review it and either approve it or,
I'm gonna guess that's what it's gonna be. That's usually what it is with all my stuff, like they send, it all gets sent off and then they go through it, so.
Now, if I may ask, our consultant has done these before,
Yep.
so he knows what they have to have.
Yeah.
He wouldn't say this just to
Yeah.
say it and make us go around in circles and circles and circles. He's making a statement for a specific reason. He knows what the regs are. He
Yeah.
knows what the feds have to have.
Yep.
And he's answering our questions specifically as to what we need to submit.
Yeah, and, you know, he's made the statement, you know, that some communities just do the whole thing.
Correct.
You know, is red, the whole town's red and go from there. But, and he's seen communities just, you know, peel it back to what's needed, so. Yeah, let's have a further discussion on our next meeting about that, so we can zone in on which map we're gonna go forward with.
One thing I liked about Uxbridge.
Yep.
And the definitions, since we
Okay.
were going over disturbance and construction activity, and we kinda had a little issue there,
Yep.
was they defined the word alter in their first definition. And then on the third page, or page 92 also, they defined pre-development and post-development.
Oh, good, that was one of the things that,
Been brought up.
Yeah, I think we insert those three definitions and we can get rid of disturbance and construction activity.
And what might that page be?
they were
man?
looking at?
yeah, you're on the definitions?
Page what, 60?
Yeah, I'm on there, Uxbridge's stormwater.
Yeah, it's page 3 is where we get into the definitions.
It's in this one.
Yeah, it's that one, yeah. I was
That
looking
one,
for
okay.
Yeah.
You know, one thing,
Oh.
we
I was doing the same thing.
drives me nuts when they don't say where this bylaw's from,
Yeah, right.
you know, so,
This is how they print it right from their website.
That's exactly, yeah.
This is Uxbridge.
I printed the zoning bylaws off Auburn's site today, so I was trying to get the R factor for subdivision. It prints it in Word. You get it in Word format. I was like, really? You can just modify it and do whatever you want.
Post it back up.
Put it back on there. I was like, wow.
Wow.
Pretty stupid.
So, what's the 3 that you want to grab, Matt?
well,
Alter
Alter?
and pre-development and post-development.
and may
And how
I,
about new development?
Where is it?
what I suggest, because I look at, in our, the Douglas one, new development and redevelopment, I have to keep rereading those over and over and over to figure out what the difference is between the two of them. It's not very clear. So I'm looking at Uxbridge here, and it seems to me the definition for new and redevelop is a little more concise, and so I would take a look at that too,
So-
replacing.
Okay.
They have pre, post, and even new development.
Yep.
So you've got I think you gotta look at those,
And take alter also.
those there.
This is also their illicit discharge bylaw, so we have one of those already.
Yeah, again, we just got the Uxbridges anyways. If we're gonna add those, then we would take, when you get your red highlights, we can take a look at what we're taking out
Yep.
in place of. But I think, that might help clarify things a little bit better, the way Uxbridge did theirs.
Now, on this same thing, you had brought up less on timeline before.
Yeah,
Still keeping that? What's the deal?
I think that's a,
I asked Nick about that. Nothing in response.
okay.
Good. Because you own a bunch of land, you want to make fields or whatever, you know?
Well, so, say someone does, they clear an acre, and then this bylaw gets adopted, and, the look back.
And granted, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, we're working in a much more refined, smaller area
Yep.
than before.
Yeah.
And I think that was mostly because of before.
Got distracted, the feds responded to the map. MS4 permit regulates discharges from urbanized areas to waters of the US.
Yeah.
It's up to permit holders how they implement their stormwater management plan, and can exclude implementation in areas with no discharge at the discretion of the permit holder. This means no stormwater is discharged from those areas either directly or through an adjacent stormwater system owned by the town, another permit holder, or any other entity, public or private, to a water of the US. Census Bureau updates a map of urbanized area every 10 years. We haven't got ours yet, but the town would need to make sure that whatever language says would capture the increases in regulated area. Urbanized area, in parentheses, he puts urbanized area designated since the year 2000 census from subsequent census designations. It's kind of legalese, but doesn't really answer my question.
It's kind of answering it in lawyer talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going
That's the
around in
problem with all
circles.
this, I agree.
Yeah.
And that's why
Well, again, I think when we have a full board, we can talk about going forward with the tile map, and then if, that is really the true information there, so I think that's what we have to look at. Just capturing lots and capturing parcels doesn't really affect it. You're gonna be more busy work of saying, oh yeah, well, you're not gonna have any ruling, right? Oh, other than going, it doesn't apply to you. Let's
One
hold
way or
it
the
here.
other, we're gonna pitch this to them,
Yeah,
and if they clap back at it, then
Yeah.
we go to the other map.
correct.
That's what I
Yep.
was thinking.
Yep,
same
yep,
thing.
let's do
Right?
that, agree.
The EPA.
Yeah,
Right?
well, not that, but not only, I think the real way, well, I see two sides. Our consultant is telling us specifically what to do.
Right.
yep,
Yeah.
Use this map.
yeah, that's where we're going.
And that somebody else says something about it, then why, and you show me why this here is telling us what to do.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll give
Where our
us,
consultant, you've approved them before.
yeah, we'll give them the language citing that map, and we'll attach the map to it, we'll send it over to them, say, what do you guys think of this? If they're good with it, great.
Yeah.
And if they
Well-
say they'd rather the urbanized map, then we'll
But then, they can't just say, well, see, this is where it gets kind of lost in the shuffle. Anybody can say anything they want. Half these, I'm gonna say bozos, don't know what they're talking about anyways. They have no clue. So the idea is this is what we are presenting.
Yep.
If you want to change it, you better give us a reason why.
Right.
Not just because.
right.
You're right, tell them, don't ask them.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
what, you said, exactly. We're gonna tell them what we're gonna do.
That's right.
Because we're kind of already there anyways, we just
Right.
need to tweak it a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's a perfect statement to make. We're gonna tell them what we're gonna,
Because you know what happens when you ask.
you get in trouble.
That's correct.
So I asked our consultant, disturbance of 1 acre, is there a length of time the disturbance can take place? For example, somebody clears an acre at a time each year over a period of years, how do they get triggered, right? There's nothing that gets specific in the MS4 permit. I think if someone's clearing trees once every few years, something like that wouldn't get covered. It's really geared towards large-scale developments like commercial and industrial subdivisions.
Okay.
So that language, I think, should kind of be set in there somewhere, somehow.
So
Or it can go either way.
so
You kind of don't want to say it, but yet
No.
you want
Yeah.
to protect the people that do it.
I think where that piece of that language is that you would probably put underneath section 1B and make sure that one of the items, because this talks about the objective and the purpose of this bylaw. And I think you want to capture, it's regarding commercial and subdivision development. You know, and maybe capture that sentence or two in there.
There or under exemptions?
Well, I think it's gonna be there because it's talking about the objective of the bylaw.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because you're not gonna put it in exemptions if that's what the objective of the bylaw would be. The objective of the bylaw is for commercial. Where you would put exemptions is where we talk about like your existing commercial property, you know, and that.
We put something in there, then people are gonna be all over it. You know, you
Yeah.
put something in there that says, this is geared towards large-scale developments like commercial, industrial subdivisions, and someone's just gonna clear,
Correct.
I mean, whatever they want.
Yeah, but
We're
that's-
just gonna wake them up.
That is not the intent.
Right.
And the idea is, you know, for the record and everything, the intent, and it's now being documented of this aspect of it.
Okay.
Where if over time, somebody does go, say, does a half acre this year, 3/4 of an acre next year, and in between they're letting the vegetation or grass or do whatever come up, or garden it or whatever, it's not really designed to have a trigger mechanism on that aspect. This would be like going in, I'm gonna build
Yep.
8,000 square foot house and 5-car garage, or I'm clearing 3 acres.
Yep.
All right, now you're gonna trigger this, because you're doing it all at once.
All right. That's fair.
How,
I think, you know, what I mean, if we get a few items for our next meeting, we could talk about the map with the full board.
if I can, through the chair, so that language is from our consultant also?
Yeah.
So the writing of this will be done through our consultant?
Yeah, I mean, we'll obviously give this back to him so he can go over it before we send it
Can,
off to EPA.
can we ask him?
We want him to come to a meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whereas, should we put something in here? Or is that something that is left out but is known by the parties, i.e. planning board, whoever's in charge of it? They know what's going on, but there again, this is for the community. This is for the people to know, and you're not supposed to, if it's record, it should be out there.
Well,
Sorry.
to me, I kind of feel the same way, and more of, I like things, if it's not, in the fire end and ambulance and all that, if it ain't documented, it didn't happen.
Correct. Yeah.
So
Yes, sir.
that's how we always have to play
Correct.
things, so if you didn't have.
If you don't have it in there, then there's no coverage or protection.
Because when you and I, all of us are gone,
Oh, yeah.
you know.
What were they
Oh, yeah,
thinking?
definitely.
Yeah, exactly. you know.
So I think what's helpful is that when we get to, you know, 95%, let's say with the bylaw, we send it off to the consultant. They review it, and along with the policy, let's say, where we get that, a couple passes on that so they're in line, and send that off to the consultant, and then let that person come to our meeting to say, hey, here's what one change we have to add, or here's, you know, but everything else is good. Gives us the kind of, them to come to a meeting just for that final hurdle.
So true, and also, and/or has another community already used this language in one of their bylaws or whatever, and how do they verbiage it, so that we can maybe acquire that same verbiage and put it in to have it, like you said, it's documented.
Yeah.
It's there, it's documented.
Yep.
Yeah.
That would be something, obviously, we wouldn't know, but he might know that, yeah, you know, town ABC over here, they asked the same question, believe it or not, and this is how they did the verbiage and they put it in.
Well, what section they put it under, you know?
Correct.
Exactly.
Yep. Otherwise, I think it's looking good.
So
Yeah.
can I ask a dumb question here?
There's no
So
double.
the difference between a policy, a bylaw, and regulations, what are we creating here?
The policies and regulations.
Policy and regulations are the same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And so, and then.
Regulations are administered by the planning board, voted by the planning board
Yeah.
without town meeting.
So, say that again?
The regulations voted by the planning board without town meeting. They
Oh,
vote-
okay, and so, and the bylaw needs a town meeting?
Yes.
So they're two different documents?
Yeah.
Correct.
So are we're preparing two documents here,
Our
right?
task is just the bylaw. But,
But we wanna make the other package along with it so that they concur with each other.
To take at least a pass or two at the policy, so the planning board can take the final.
Okay, so the bylaw and the policy, a lot of it's gonna be the same language.
Correct, oh, 100%, it should be.
well, the
Oh, okay.
definitions should be the
The
same.
definitions should be the same.
Name.
And that, the important of the policy would be, hey, based upon when we wrote the bylaw, this is what was the thought, and this is way the direction of, this committee's direction was regarding policy. You know what I mean?
There's a
And so,
little more in the policy, like surety,
surety and things like that. So I mean, and I think,
application requirements,
Yeah.
plan requirements, all those details. are
More
in the
details
More
in
details.
the policy.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
And I think for, probably what we need to do is, you know, Matt's gonna make some changes on the definitions for the bylaw. And, we're, you know, getting close to making sure that aligns with the definitions, is then for our next meeting with the group here of stakeholders, is to go through and take a shot at the bylaw, the policy. So we can go through and, if there's anything in the policy that we disagree with the logic of what we've already kind of came back with.
So we wanna create the bylaw first,
Correct.
and that's what we're doing here.
Correct, yep, yep.
Because the town meeting's coming up. And
Well,
they're forcing us to have this.
for the spring,
Remember, because this has been shut down at town meeting all these years.
Yeah,
yeah,
And the EPA, they're kind of saying, you need to do
Yeah.
it, like now.
okay.
So that's why we're doing it, to get the bylaw passed, at least.
we get a letter from them.
It's all,
Yep.
it been brought to town meeting, it's been voted on by town meeting.
Yeah.
Whether it passes or not, it's up to the residents of
Sure.
the town. But to try to prevent another kickback, that's why this is here.
Yeah.
To hammer it all,
Sure.
before it was always, here's a document, vote on it.
Yeah.
It was never hammered out. It was
Yeah.
never really thought.
And we've had a lot of good discussions on it, and, versus just a blanket. And some, like,
Which was
I think Charleston did a blanket, I think other communities did a blanket.
Yeah.
I mean, not knowing, and I think the concern when we had our first meeting, we had our first discussion was, you know, we didn't want people to come in and pay fees and applications, stuff like that, to find out that it doesn't apply to them. So it's, I mean, because that wastes time. It's a drain on town services, you know what I mean? And
To be honest, I can't imagine how many times this is gonna get triggered. I just don't see a big,
Well, this map, right, the tile map versus a town-wide blanket. If you had a town-wide blanket, you'd have to submit.
Everything.
You'd have
Everybody.
to submit every time.
And that's what the original
If you were to
deal
do
was.
something, if you were to do something, you'd have to submit,
And
even to
then
find out
Right.
that it didn't become applicable to you.
yeah. Well, so how many areas in that have an acre to disturb? I mean,
Not a whole lot.
Well, that's why we're,
Yeah.
and that's why, just like what you said in the beginning, this was supposed to be townwide. And everybody's like, no, it ain't gonna happen.
okay.
So our task was to narrow down what is the minimum requirements to get something passed, to appease whoever,
Yeah,
and that's why we're here doing it, and that's why we're hammering on what map we use.
yeah,
Because even between that one and that one, there's a difference.
sure.
So I think, you know, for our next meeting, we'll update the definitions. Matt, can you send out the policy and regs, to the whole group again?
Yep.
And just say, hey, for our next meeting, we wanna take that first pass
Okay.
review, and then, and also for our next meeting, anything that we want to take from Oxbridge's bylaw and bring over. I think that's into our bylaw. And I think, I don't want to hold everybody up because I know some people got other meetings and stuff like that, but I think that's gonna be because even, we had a short runway between meetings to get to this meeting and stuff like that.
And I really
All
think for next meeting, like you say, we're gonna make a determination what map we're gonna go with.
Correct.
If we
Yep.
can,
Yep.
hopefully if it's gonna be a full board known, can we have the consultant available? Possibly?
Probably, my
First meeting in November.
yeah, but I'm thinking,
The reason being is, that way there we can have, our main goal is to get the bylaw done. That's priority one.
Yeah.
And then the other one can kind of follow in place, but we need to get everything hammered out so
Yeah.
the consultant can hammer it.
Yeah.
The consultant can write it and have it back in
Yeah.
time to get things moving forward.
if there's any other.
If we still need to do a little bit of policies, that does not affect our meeting.
Oh, yeah.
This other stuff does.
Yeah, we're we're targeting for the spring. Tommy, I
Right,
agree
but
with your
still,
point.
it's,
I would-
it
I was-
happens quick.
correct.
We got the holidays.
Agree. No, I think it might be worthwhile if we can do the November meeting, but we want to be able to give that person, that consultant, something that's fairly close to being ready.
Which is pretty close.
All
At
right.
least I think.
Yeah, with the map.
There's a
and
few
the definitions.
tweaking
Yep.
about the language on what he just,
Margaret, what do you
it's
think?
coming from him.
Okay. All right,
Bring them into the November meeting?
so we're gonna have one more meeting before the November meeting, right?
Yeah, I think the 28th, that's something like that?
Yes.
So are we gonna, by the 28th, are we gonna be able to, we're gonna have a revised,
Bylaw,
that we're gonna be able to,
we determine which map we do, and we have the first pass on the regs.
so we're gonna have a revised bylaw that we're gonna give to the consultant before he comes here on November.
Yeah.
We'll have something
Yeah.
for him to look at, go over, have a meeting with them and say, good, yeah, good. No, we need to change language on this.
All right, so that means that we're gonna have to have our bylaw revised by almost next meeting, right?
Yeah, and I think we're,
This is it, and you only had one thing there.
Well, yeah, I guess,
On
you know,
D.
well, the definitions, I
Yep.
definitely, some of those definitions are, we should take a look at, you know, and,
okay.
I'm thinking the exemptions. Just looking at Oxford's exemptions, they got 13, we have 7.
Yeah, well, I think, and I think, again, for our next meeting for the discussion is like, I'd like to look at that too.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'd rather do it with a full board. So if we can do the action items, you know,
Yeah.
tomorrow, sending it out to the committee, saying, okay, here's Uxbridge's, what do we wanna pull over? We wanna firm up what map we're gonna use for our next meeting, and that way we can have a healthy discussion in October for the exemptions, the map, and we've already tied, and then we take a pass at the policy stuff. You know? And I think what would be helpful is that if we, I know our first meeting, we actually went through every single section, and maybe because of the policy situation, maybe we take the first so many sections in the policy, you know,
This one here,
go through it.
I can bring in my paper for it.
Does that make sense, Mike?
Yeah, I agree.
Agree? Okay.
Yeah.
With the forestry cutting plan? Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't need a forestry cutting plan.
Yeah,
You can do 10 cord without any plan.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just
So,
say,
but that, no, I think that's a different chapter.
right, yeah, these are the ones that have to file for their forestry cutting plans.
Right, the other one you don't,
Right.
which is under the EPA
Yeah.
too. So that should maybe be included in it,
Right.
and or mention of it.
Well, they got both, they got 304 CMR and MGL 13240. There's 2 different citations in here.
I have the paperwork at home, I can,
Okay.
I'll,
for the, and citations for what?
The timber, exemption 13 and the Uxbridge.
What do you see,
I like the exemptions,
you
though.
seeing-
They really thought of it.
is it, to your section, so.
C.
C, so it's
On page.
290-5, section C, exemptions. And I think that's worthwhile for us to look at that, to see if we're,
That and ours and look at them all together.
yeah,
See the pros and cons between the two.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, so I'm looking at the Uxbridge, I want to look at the Uxbridge regulations.
No,
Stormwater.
was this, that one.
For
Go to-
exemptions?
Yeah,
There wasn't many in the back, right?
Yeah.
13 of them,
Page 3 or
290-5.
4.
Yeah, they tied them together. So our exemptions,
Oh, God.
we've got 7.
One of the things that I put in was for them to, projects that file site plan, special permits to finish subdivisions, right? Because they require stormwater management.
Yep.
But the point of this bylaw is to capture those projects, oddly enough. Until we have stormwater regulations in the subdivision regs, then those would then trump this bylaw, but that's just for subdivisions. There's also the opportunity, if we do a general bylaw, there's also an opportunity for zoning bylaw. But
So let's, I'm just looking at Uxbridge's, so I do like the first one, because this is activities, the disturbance less than 1 acre,
Yep.
they call it out. But again, I'd rather have a full 2 other members here for us to stop pulling things over.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
No, I agree.
Yeah, so, but I think for our next meeting, we can definitely look at Uxbridge's exemptions and look at the comparisons.
And there it came up, if you look at 3, like I was saying.
I also looked up under it, now, number 2, normal maintenance improvement of land and agriculture is defined by the Wetlands Protection Act.
Yep.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, here's another thing that, pages of definitions, and it depends upon normal, the size, and it just,
Right. It can get crazy.
that's correct. And then, yeah, then here's a whole manual on the exemptions under the Wetlands Protection Act for agriculture, you
Yeah.
know?
They're exempt from a lot.
So I guess if you just refer to the,
Chapter.
yeah, then that covers it all then.
Okay.
But it's just, depends upon a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
Somebody likes writing a lot of paper, right?
alright. So we got a little homework to do between now and our next time when we meet in October.
Well, I think we do, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna come up with a bunch of comments based on all this stuff, and then we're gonna funnel it to Matt at the next meeting, right?
Yep.
And then Matt's gonna get something together and give it back to us before we give it to the consultant.
Yeah, just,
The meeting
he
is,
could give it to the
You can give the
consultant,
consultant,
really.
yeah, Matt's captured a lot of
so the 28th is the next one, then it's November 12th, it's a Tuesday, because Veterans Day's Monday.
Yep,
Then you have the 25th,
okay.
which is the week of Thanksgiving, but it's the Monday of Thanksgiving. So I mean,
That
Yeah.
one, the one before that, I know I won't be around.
Yeah, I think you're missing,
Yeah,
I think you're missing the 12th.
There's one I have to go to school on.
Yeah,
I gotta look it up.
okay. Alright, well, I don't wanna hold people beyond that. I mean, we get a good game plan going forward for our next, for the meeting on the 28th.
The 28th, and then the
Yep.
meeting in November is the 12th,
Yep.
the Tuesday.
Yep, and we'll bring the consultant into that,
Okay.
okay?
and I think by then, if you don't feel comfortable by the 12th, I don't think there'd be an issue with trying to get them to the 25th, is my
Yeah.
point. Yeah, we're still in November, is my, and we're before the holidays really start,
Okay.
So, Matt, once you compile this all again, is it possible then that to email us
Oh, yeah.
a copy of the
I will.
the draft?
That's what I asked him to do.
Okay.
Send out so he can send it out to the group tomorrow or so, just
Will do.
the regs, and then what our items we wanna accomplish for the 28th meeting, the 28th. Just so everybody's gonna need, because Carol reads her email.
No, and let our
When she gets it
consultant
from
know that I really, at least I do,
Yeah.
really appreciate him responding back on those.
Yeah,
But I think those were some pretty
it gives us
big
good direction.
deals of what's going on.
yeah.
Yeah, it really helped us.
And thank you for sending it out.
Yep.
You know, appreciate it.
Yep.
We need, the info we need to have.
Yep.
Need to have the info.
All right. All right, we're, section 3, open session items, any topics or anything like that you wanna cover? We're good there? All right, we got the minutes for the September 16th meeting, when we had our full committee together for our first meeting. I just wanna start, Matt, I'd like to thank the Community Development Office for putting the minutes together for us.
Yeah,
You know, really
appreciate it.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So,
Am I spelling Collins? Is it two L's in
it's
Collins?
one L.
Oh.
Yeah, minor change there, and with a one L. But with that edit, I don't think everything else is.
What does TS stand for?
Mm,
And they went business, 5 o'clock TS.
Timestamp.
Oh,
Yep. Yeah, that was our 2-hour meeting. Any other changes? Matt, see?
I don't.
You think it's pretty good? Okay.
Motion to approve the meeting minutes for September 16, 2024 as amended, because of the spelling correct.
Second.
Here, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous? You can look at the 30th,
Yeah, just gotta,
minor edit.
yeah, Colin again, and then, right after Margaret and Carol joined the meeting, the second line down, Nick Christo, I'm gonna get his name,
Okay.
Christopher.
Yeah, we talked about the EPA order. That's the meeting, that we get the order in.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
So, right there, EPA is giving the town until May 31st to get
Yep.
this enacted.
Yep.
what
And
happened?
that was that letter that we received, the email that we got.
Yep.
Do we get fines if we don't?
Well,
They didn't.
they've been threatening that for the last,
10 years?
what,
Yeah.
8 years at least?
But they didn't send a letter and, well, here's the
They
thing.
really want us to get it done.
Yeah. And I think what's important is we don't want to lose our ability to use the Mumford for the drain, because they could turn around, again, worst case, right? Stop using the river. You know what I mean? You know, figure out your own drainage and, you know, and that would be
Catastrophic.
correct, a little more painful,
Well,
right?
we're-
So we don't want to lose that ability, or you know, meaning again, that's the worst case, right? And you know, you can't drain into it, right? That would be pretty bad. Or saying how much you're draining in, now you got to pay for some type of fine for the amount that you're dumping in. So I think both of those are pretty well a punch in the gut.
You know, I tell you, it'd be kind of nice to know before town meeting, so when you present this to the residents, they have an idea that if we don't pass it this time, could be the ramifications.
It's, I don't know if it's been set up before,
You know?
but there again, at town meeting, that now you're almost kind of making a threat, because it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
either you do this, or
Well,
we're gonna
I
do
guess if I
that.
vote no on it as a town resident, I'd like to know what are the ramifications if we deny it
Yeah.
again?
Yeah.
I mean, there could be a,
Hey, yeah.
And that would be, I think, something written up by the selectmen in that booklet that's sent out before town meeting,
That's the
where a yes,
that's the FinCom.
well, maybe we can
Doesn't matter.
ask Nick that, what happens in other towns that this doesn't get passed? Do they actually,
nothing yet, is what
Yeah,
I've been told.
It's still new. The ones I contacted all the towns around us. And the ones who told me they still haven't done it yet, but they got the letter too.
They all
The
got-
same
everybody
boat,
got-
like,
everybody
Yeah.
you know, they all got, yeah,
Yeah.
we weren't the only one, but
And-
it's the same thing. No one has an idea like how to go. I mean, honestly, I think we're well ahead of this.
Yeah.
Compared to some of the other ones,
Yes.
when I talked to some of the other towns, they were like, Some of them just threw something together and it flew right through town meeting without a question, because nobody knew what it was, and that
Correct.
was it, and it was
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
You know, type of thing where, and some are sitting there trying to figure it out still, so.
And we already had a decent stormwater plan and bylaws for
Yeah.
the projects.
Yeah.
So we were always kind of on that buffer where we need it, but we don't because of what we already have in the books.
All
Yeah,
right.
But they want to get this zone, the only thing that isn't in it, or that we do is this map.
Yeah.
And I think that's the only key they're looking at,
Okay.
is they want to see a map.
So yeah, let's just finish with the minutes. Are we okay with the September 30th?
I make a motion, we approve the minutes of,
September 30th,
September 30th,
As amended?
as
as
amended.
amended.
Second?
Yep. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right? All right, we're good there. All right, Matt, do you want these folders back?
Yes.
Okay, let's get the folders back to Matt. Appreciate you. And, we've got a good game plan for our next meeting.
So,
Thanks again for looking
Yeah.
at those questions. I think it really helped out tonight a lot on it.
yeah, sure.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the points that we made, is like, if we don't understand it, or we can't explain it, then how do we expect, you know what I mean, my neighbor to understand it, right? You know what I mean? So, all right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.